giving you the real surrounding the Dallas Cowboys. News, updates, rumors, transactions, takes, and more. So strap up, Cowboys Nation, and start your day off with your host, Skywalker Steele.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go!
Good morning, good people. Welcome to A to Z Sports Live. We're not on A to Z Sports Live. We're on the Skywalker Morning Show Live. And of course, I am your host, Skywalker Steele. We kind of on A to Z Live as well. What's happening, people? We got some news today, don't we? As the world turns. But before we get to that, we are going to start our Hindsight 2024 series. We're talking about the cornerback position, and I got some concerns about that cornerback position. We're going to bring in our girl, coming through to talk to us in a little bit, so make sure y'all stick around for that. And before we get to any of that, man, we got to talk about what went down yesterday in Cowboys land, and we're going to do all of that in the roundup. Plus, new schedule, updated schedule for the off season. We'll be streaming live Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We'll have some videos in between, and I got something special cooking up for the weekends as well. So that's kind of the schedule at this moment. So what'll happen sometimes is with that, day gap, some news will happen and we'll talk about it. So there was a couple things that happened prior to yesterday as well. We'll get into in the roundup. So make sure y'all stick around for all of that goodness that we got going on, man. But good morning, Bomb Squad. How we doing?
Bomb Squad!
How we doing, man? I hope none of the soap opera things are getting you guys too riled up. Some of it we knew this was going to happen, but we got to touch on it a bit because it's more comical than anything, in my opinion. It's more comical than anything, man. So real quick, some show notes for those who are over on the A to Z side. Make sure you guys head on over to the Skywalker Unleashed side, sub up, come through, kick it with us, because we'll be doing this for about as long as probably this coaching thing goes on. And then we'll be solely focused here on the Unleashed channel. But right now, we're just trying to ease things in as we get going. All right. Let me see. Sound good? Everything good? Am I too loud, too low? We good to go? All right, let's get into this roundup real quick because I got to laugh at a few things here. All right, let's do it.
It's time! It's time! It's time!
It's time. It's time.
It is time for...
It's time for the morning roundup. Round 'em up, boys.
Let me talk to you.
Let me talk to you, Cowboys Nation. So before we get to Big Mike, a couple days ago, Ezekiel Elliott was signed to the Chargers practice squad, and my goodness, Twitter broke. I couldn't believe it. But before we talk about the Twitter, well, we're not going to talk too much about Twitter. Shouts out to Zeke. I said this on my Twitter. Hey, man, go get that playoff check. Go get that opportunity to try to play for a ring. The Chargers, obviously not Super Bowl favorites, but once you get into that dance, anything can happen per se. Now, we'll see, how much he plays. I do think if this had happened during the regular season, this is a much better fit. Harbaugh likes to run the ball, right? He likes kind of downhill running backs. That fits right up his alley. He's going to be with his, Buckeye mate, J.K. Dobbins. But they got a Michigan man running the ship. We shall see what happens. They do have Gus Edwards. They do have J.K. Dobbins. But they could go into this playoff game saying, hell, we're going to just run the ball 50 times. So shout out to Zeke getting an opportunity. But why did this break? Why are we still fussing and fighting over Ezekiel Elliott? I don't get it. I don't get it. I refuse to partake in the nonsense. This isn't even worthy of it. I could see if he, was such an integral part to this team this year or something like that. That wasn't the case. So it's just not worth fussing. So, I'll just sit back and watch the shit show carry on. But I refuse to step in it. Just refuse. However, put a pin in this situation because Jerry did bring something up when talking about the Big Mike situation. So reports came out yesterday, I think earlier in the day, where the Cowboys have essentially ignored the Chicago Bears. They have not granted the request. They have not denied it, nothing. Then later in the day, breaking news. Dallas Cowboys denied permission for the Bears to speak with Mike McCarthy about the head coaching vacancy. My first two thoughts, off bat, well, this will probably signal his return, but I want you to put a pin in that one. But my second thought was, damn. That's cold-blooded, man. Ooh, that's cold-blooded. I hope, for Big Mike's sake, they just working out the particulars here in Dallas, right? Because if they're still far apart, if they're still trying to figure out numbers, if they're still not sure, and they denied Mike McCarthy the ability to go interview for this, that's messed up. That's messed up. I'm gonna let this thing play out a little bit more, but it would not be out of the realm of possibility that they act this way. They've done it many of times. Tony Sparano wanted out of here. They said no. Bill Callahan wanted out of here. They said no. Ezekiel Elliott wanted out of here. They said no until the end of the season. Jason Garrett wanted to call plays. They said no. So they got history of having people in the building that, wanted to explore other opportunities. And Jerry, here's the funny part. And this is what could be messed up. It was Jerry Jones who just said this a few days ago about Mike McCarthy being able to talk to other teams.
Then I would say, go talk. I really would. Go talk.
So it sounds like
I just let Zeke do that.
Gotcha.
I don't want anybody here. That's not healthy to have somebody around that wants to be someplace else. Really, it's not.
I bet you have experience with that, Jerry. Interesting. He said, I just did that with Zeke. But let's be real quick sidebar. Zeke didn't just come out a few days ago and say, hey, or last week, or I'd like to be on a different team. No. This has been something that's been known for a long time, but you kept him around. But somehow, some way, Jerry Jones has managed to make Mike McCarthy into a sympathetic figure in rapid time. Y'all know this about me and Mike. Sorry if that scared y'all there. I've got my gripes with Mike McCarthy, okay? As an offensive mind, as a play caller, things like that, right? My confidence in his ability to get the Cowboys over the hump in the playoffs. I have my gripes. There's no doubt about that. But there are only 32 of these opportunities. And once I remove that aspect of, hey, I may not like XYZ with this person, he still is a person. There still is a human element to this situation, right? So I'm hoping that there's something behind the scenes already drawn up or what have you, and this is just a formality, because if there's still uncertainty and you did not allow him to try to do this, because every day counts. Every day counts. It's messed up. But on the flip side, every day counts for you too, Jerry, for the Cowboys. You can't be unsure while other coaches could be getting interviews or preparing for interviews or having deals under the table, and you don't have a chance to hear out. It's a mess. Especially when you factor in all your scouts, all your coaches, they're all on expiring deals. So this isn't like last year where you could have legitimately got rid of Mike and kept the staff if you wanted. You have to know what's going on. You have to know what you're going to do and not just say, and Jerry mentioned it. Yeah, in the coming weeks. Weeks? We don't have weeks, ladies and gentlemen. If you wait weeks, you lose the opportunity to potentially get the guys that whoever that coach is wants. Now, the second thought I had was, well, obviously this means Mike is returning. That's the thought I had, though. But according to Clarence Hill, this was his tweet. This should mean that they're bringing Mike McCarthy back. What it really means is that the review of the season and discussions are ongoing per source. Just 48 hours since the end of the season, nothing has been decided. Why wasn't the review taking place for weeks by now? You knew you were, if you wanted to use the excuse, hey, we were fighting for the playoffs, we didn't want to think about other coaches. All right, cool, bet. The minute you became eliminated for the playoffs, you had no more excuses to begin the process. Why are we waiting? Why is everything the last damn second? You got one Jones and Steven saying, hey, we haven't thought about coaching. There's no timelines. We're just focused on the next game. You got the other one. The hay is in the barn. This doesn't change. This last game or last 2 games, it doesn't matter. I already know what I want to do. Which one is it, man? Just dysfunctional. Absolutely dysfunctional. And I'm going to keep saying it because it's the truth. We just do shit. What plan, Jan? And yeah, I am being a little bit petty to my guy, Troy, but I ask you, how is this a legitimate plan? What organization moves like this? Serious question. You got terrible organizations that know, dog, we got to get rid of the coach. We got to get rid of the general manager right now so we can begin our process. And yeah, we're better than those organizations in regards to winning and what have you over the last number of years. But even they realize this is not the way to go about it. Because they got to get a jump on, hey, all right, this scout or this coach may not like this type of player. We got to reorganize our draft board. We got to reorganize our NFL player personnel board. We got to figure out free agency. We got to get coaching staffs. It's not just Mike McCarthy, swap it out, bow, and everything's done. There's so much more to that, which is all the more reason why this should have been taking place weeks before the season ended. Weeks, ladies and gentlemen. So, hearing that they denied the Bears, I wouldn't go as far as saying it's a surprise or anything like that. It just feels more cold-blooded to me. And it feels like, I think we all could agree here. It feels like Mike is returning, right? So if that's the case, let's get on it. So Mike can start building his staff, because he might have to. Hey, there might be guys that don't want to come back. Seriously, there may be guys that do not want to return to this situation, whether it be because there's other opportunities, whether it be because they keep getting stepped on, right? And I'm thinking about like linebacker coaches and running back coaches and things like that. So they got to figure this thing out. They got to figure this thing out right now. But it's time to hear from our girl, Aisha. Nice to meet you. Let me press the button. You know I gotta bring you in like that, right?
What's up, Sky?
Hold on, I'm still jamming. 1 second. Say now, what's up with you, twin? Ride. I can't say the other part. I mean, I can. It's my channel now. I can say what the hell I want to say over here now. Again,
That's what I'm talking about.
What's going on? How we doing this morning?
What's up, man? I'm just trying to prepare. You know, in Texas, we don't get cold like that. I lived in Iowa for 6 years, so I'm familiar. Look, I was born in the dark.
Right, molded by it. We're used to this. You from Iowa, I'm from PA. The cold don't bother me, but what bothers me is that I'm getting used to the Texas weather. So I made the mistake dropping off my son at daycare of going out in the hoodie the other day. It was like 23 degrees. And that cold disrespected the shit out my bones. I said, oh, damn, all right, time for the coat.
That hawk got on your back, huh, man?
Yeah,
Listen,
it got me. It got me.
Every January, we got to prepare, and I just been trying to make sure my family's good, I'm good, and, like, that's why I was running a little behind, because I'm like, let me make sure all my foxes is
Hey, dude, listen, man. Dude, take care of what you got to take care of. I'm going to be here. Even if you called at 10:30, we was going to get you up in here, but it's good to hear from you. And kind of cool. You are the first guest of the new regime here, the Skywalker Unleashed channel. So I'm honored to have you here.
I'm proud of you, man. It's not to pivot, but pivoting is done. So pivoting is why I'm here. So you never know what God will do for you when doors close for you, man. Like that, sometimes that other doors opening and you being pushed into things that maybe you're a little uncomfortable with at first, but you'll see and understand why things happen that way. I'm very proud of you, and I'm going to support anything that you do, my friend.
Well, preach that good word. Thank you so much to
Of course.
Before we get into, we're going to talk about corners, okay, today, to hindsight 2024, taking a review at the corners. But before I do that, I would be a fool not to kind of just get your overall thoughts on this situation here with Mike McCarthy being denied, or the Bears, I should say, being denied the ability to interview Mike McCarthy prior to his contract fully running out, right? Like they could just wait, according to Adam Schefter. But what are you thinking? What went through your mind when you heard that?
I mean, it's a mixture of a lot of things, because I feel like my anxiety makes me operate with certainty. So even though, like, I understand, like, it could give us, like, some type of reassurance or information that maybe Mike McCarthy's going to be here, I'm one of the people that's like, I don't believe nothing until some paperwork is signed.
Yeah, that's how I am. I need them I's dotted and them T's crossed.
Yeah, but also, too, that's how this business is. We've seen deals not go down like, oh, he's expected to sign, and then somebody don't sign. So, for me, it seems like I understand, you know, the overall feelings being like, okay, this seems like Mike McCarthy's going to return, but I don't know until we know. But I will say, if it is a sign that Mike McCarthy is going to return, I'm not going to say that I'm just completely mad at it. I do think that you can, you know, get a better play caller. I do believe that. And by better, I mean Mike McCarthy, and I'm not sure if this is something that you've noticed, but there's a feel that comes with play calling. And there's just so many instances in the game where, to me, there's key moments in the game, right? Like if you get a first down right here, you can really take air out of the stadium, right? And just situationally sometimes I don't like how things are handled. I just think that you can do better. I'm looking for more consistency and obviously relevancy to what this NFL does offensively and what works. Now, we'll see spurts of that. Like we saw some of it on Sunday, right? The bunch formations, the motions, the using guys out the backfield, some of this stuff, the crossers. Right. Those are all things that we've been waiting to see consistently this year that we haven't gotten to see. And for me, I'm just like, I understand he's been decimated by injuries this year and all these things. So it's a lot of things to consider. But I also, the most important thing, Sky, and this is my last point, is that I think this has a lot to do with the quarterback. And the quarterback only having 3 more years left on his deal. And what is it going to look like for your quarterback coming back from a pretty major injury, having to completely go through an install, which, again, like he's coming back from an injury, go through an install of.
I think T.Y. might have went under a bridge.
I think it might have something to do with that, Guy.
That's an interesting point that I've heard brought up a few times, and I don't think you're necessarily, wrong there in that you don't want to have your quarterback going through all these different offenses or what have you. Same thing about the defense, right? I talked about it the other day. Agree. You got defensive coordinators just swapping in and out over the last number of years. However, there's also something to coordinators coming in year one. You see success. Like I look at Baker Mayfield. He lost the coordinator, right? And then they bring in a guy from one of them trees, Liam Cohen, and boom, he picks up where he left off, if not better. The offense is actually better this year. Joe Brady stepped in for who was it that got fired? Ken Dorsey, and completely revamped what they were doing. And next thing you know, the last 2 years, Josh Allen has been way more efficient, even though he was always a baller, but he's been way more efficient. So I look at it this way, I say, okay, my quarterback is a top 10 type quarterback. I want to make sure I get a guy that can get the best out of him in this offense. And if you want to use, hey, I got the quarterback coming back with the end, and I don't want to put too much on him. Well, guess what? This offense is quite literally designed to put so much on the quarterback. How about I get an offensive system that takes a little pressure off of the quarterback? And I think that will require a new offensive philosophy, because I don't think Mike is going to change up if he returns, and it sounds like he will.
No, dude, and you pose valid points as well, and so here's the thing about, when you talk about the Bucs, when you talk about some of these teams, you talk about Philly bringing Kellen in and things like that, and some of these teams seeing success with a new OC right away. Guess what? They also draft weapons. Mm-hmm. They also attack free agency, because if you think that Bucky Irvin hasn't made life easier for Baker Mayfield, you're crazy. If you don't think that offensive line for the Bucs that they have somewhat invested in makes things better for them, you're crazy. And I think that has a lot to do with it as well. Is like, it's going to be easier on a play caller if they have the weapons. So Dallas, if you are going to bring in a new OC, let's find the proper weapons. And I agree with you with Mike McCarthy. I've said this several times on Girls Talk, Boys Talk, and I do not understand why, for the majority of Dak's career, he has been with OCs, except for Scott Linehan. Let's just keep it 1,000. That have required him to be, this cerebral intellect, and he's a very smart quarterback, but it puts so much pressure on him, and I don't like that. I don't understand it. I've always thought that the easier you can make it on your quarterback, the better that your offense is. And for me, I am ready also for Dak to have a OC that makes things easier for him and plays to his strengths.
No, I 100% with you. And what's very eerie about this situation is that it's what do y'all say? What do the kids say? It's giving. What?
Oh, it's giving.
it's giving Tony Romo 2000 and what was it, 14, 15.
Oh, Lord, don't raise my blood pressure. I can't talk to my therapist till next week, Scott.
It's giving that. Here's why. Because we were talking about, hey man, Tony's starting to get injury prone. We're talking about Dak, right? Dak has suffered. That's the real thing. Dak has suffered some injury. And at the point in time in Tony's career, we were like, hey, we need to ease the pressure off of him. So let's get a run game. Let's get more weapons, et cetera, et cetera. And next thing you know, he still got injured again. Fortunately, they had Dak Prescott though. But it's given that though. So
No.
I hope Dak doesn't go down again or anything like that. But how about we try to help that not happen by giving him more weapons and giving him a run game to balance what he does through the air?
Yeah, because he would have loved, I mean, with respect, and I know I've seen several people point it out, the difference in the play calling when Dak is out and when Dak's not in. Like, I'm sure Dak Prescott would have liked a little bit of the run game that the Cowboys were able to kind of, put together towards the end of the year. I think that has a lot to do with Cooper Beebe taking a step forward. I think it has a lot to do with, obviously, Brock Hoffman and his temperament on that interior, and Tyler Smith just being Tyler Smith. I think the run game, we saw some success there with Rico Dowdle, and I think that Dak would have loved that. Why wasn't he able to have some of that at the beginning of the season? And I know some things had to change. Obviously, Zach Martin went down and stuff, but let's emphasize giving this quarterback a suitable run game, because if you look at even all the playoff losses you have with Dak Prescott, besides the Green Bay game because you just got worked, those games against San Fran, guess what? You couldn't run the ball.
I mean, you refused to run it in Green Bay too. Like, you refused to be balanced. You came out as a throwing offense and a shotgun run offense, and guess what happened?
Yeah, and defenses are counting on that. Like, defenses are counting on, obviously we're seeing more defenses play shell. They want you to be methodical, come downfield, and that's where, to your point earlier, we were talking about, you need explosive plays. You need explosive players. Like, you cannot always be this. The Cowboys did not win time of possession. They won time of possession on Sunday. Guess what? It didn't matter, because literally Washington had a couple explosive plays, and it was good night. You need people like that, because, again, to your point, it takes the pressure off the quarterback to not have to be this methodical, manager and go down the field and just win time of possession every game. You need to be able to hit people in the mouth, make them back up a little bit, make them second guess what they had going on that morning, and play football.
Absolutely correct there. We've been talking about offensive side of the ball and the coach. Let's flip this thing over and get into our meat and potatoes of the show here and talk about this cornerback room. Starting my hindsight series, I've noticed a pattern I have. I think 3 out of the 4 years I've done this, I've started with the cornerbacks. I don't know why. It just has come naturally. But I wanted to start with a position that really isn't getting talked about a whole lot, but when you put the microscope on it, right, it's interesting. There's some concerns there, I think, more than there is a lot of positives per se. But before we get to the actual players, I always usually start with the position coach, and that's Al Harris. Al Harris has been one of the fan favorites here, and rightfully so. The work that he's done has been tremendous. We've heard it was Trayvon Diggs who come out and credits Al for a lot of what he did, because Al and Trey were kind of similar, 6'2", long cornerbacks, aggressive cornerbacks. Al was like that in his career, and he credits his All-Pro, career, All-Pro season and Pro Bowl seasons to Al, and they love him in there. You can attest to this more than I can, because you are around, you're in the star, you're around the locker room. Kind of just talk about how those players take into Al Harris.
Oh, man, obviously it's a lot of respect for Al Harris. And Scott, like, I'm not going to go off on a tangent, but I'm going to say this, and hopefully it's okay for me to say. I feel like we are seeing, maybe I see, that there's a difference in some of these players when they have a coach that's done it before, that they can relate to, that they know has been through the trenches as well. Because, and this is no knock to any coach that has never played the game, or because I think you can still be intellectual. I still feel like you can be good at your job. But there's something about, like, when I meet another veteran and they say they've done tours, I understand you, because you literally have the same experiences as me. You can speak to something that the average person cannot speak to. And I believe that with Al Harris, that is why he was able to capture this cornerback room. And again, like I said, it's no knock to any coaches that have not played the game before. But for them to be able to turn on the tape and see you doing the things that you're coaching them, I think that says something, and I think it resonates with some of these, especially these young guys, right? So for me, I think regardless of what happens, to your point, I think Al Harris is someone that I want to be a part of whatever happens next. I know that that's normally not how coaching works if the whole staff doesn't stay, but those players really trust him, but they also trust him as a man, Sky. They speak very highly of him as a person, not just as a coach as well.
Yeah, and you, like I said, you mentioned being able to talk and speak with and learn from a guy that's played. I think it's a give and take there, because you're right. There are other people who have never played the game, the NFL game, but they are very smart. But when you can go to a guy like Al Harris and say, hey, what you thinking? You know what I'm saying? What were you thinking when you had to do X, Y, Z, and the quarterback did this and the receiver showed that? That definitely, I think, resonates a little bit more than anybody else. But I do think a guy like Mike Zimmer is one of those. Yeah, I might have not been Al Harris, right? But go look at my resume, and his resume shows that, you know, he puts together fantastic coverages throughout his career. And Jordan Lewis, and we'll talk about him in a second, he spoke to that the other day about, hey, man, ain't nobody doing what we doing from a coverage standpoint. And then you can say, well, Sky, the defense wasn't excellent. The defense got better over the year. The coverage got better over the year with cornerback 7, 8, and 9 out there.
Have mercy.
You know what I mean?
Have mercy.
So can we talk about those cornerbacks 7, 8s, and 9s real quick before we get to the top guys?
Dog, man. It just happened so fast, and to your point, you brought up, you know, some of the concerns. I will say, I am concerned with Trayvon Diggs. I am, and more so, like, not that I don't think that he's gonna try to get back and stuff, but just the reality of, like, in the way that Trayvon Diggs plays, the risks that he takes, the way he has to plant and drive on balls. Let me
do this for you. I hate to interrupt you there. Let's put a pin on Diggs, because I want to save Diggs for last.
Okay, sorry. I don't want to.
I want to save Diggs for last, because that is probably the biggest question mark moving forward that I think I could set up a 2025 offseason at the position. Now, we're not really talking about, so just do me a favor and put a pin in that. Put a pin in that. I want to get you. Let's talk about some of these guys that stuff. Look, Troy Pride, Keemon Hall, Monty Aurier. We don't have to go in detail on them. AO is going to be known for the situation against the Cincinnati Bengals more than anything. But I thought he was a much better actual cornerback than Andrew freaking Booth. And remember, Andrew Booth is the guy that they traded Nashawn Wright for. Right. And I don't know what the hell Nashawn Wright's doing, but I'd imagine it can't be worse than Booth. So I don't think that one was a great trade. He's a good tackler, but he was dreadful in coverage. Yeah, no,
he had trouble tracking the ball. I mean, everyone was getting him on double moves, just some undisciplined play from him. And then I just feel like in so many instances, he just lacks the confidence that you're looking for in a cornerback at this time. So that terrified me. Now, I don't know. Did you watch the film from Sunday? I ain't gonna hold you. Like, I mean, Troy Pride wasn't bad to me. I didn't think that. What's up?
No, I don't think he was either. But I don't.
No. I'm not saying I want him here next year and all that. I'm just saying we talking about the cornerback room. He was brought in, and he was someone that they had fill in or whatever the case may be. I think Deron Bland, to your point, it took him a little time to get confident with his foot injury. I mean, coming off a foot injury is something serious. He had surgery. Even so, he looks himself. I think he is the most complete corner that you have from an outside perspective, like as far as like the things he does as a boundary corner. But and then obviously we're going to talk about Jordan Lewis. He's one of the best nickel corners in the NFL, and he just don't get no love.
We definitely going to die. No, we definitely going to trust him. Believe me. If they ain't going to show him love, we're going to show him love here. But another, I would say, I don't know if I want to call him fan favorite, but a guy that fans get frustrated about, and it's not really because of him personally, but his usage, is Israel Mukuamu. I think there's something to the frustration for his usage. right? Because he had that good playoff run a couple years ago, then never was really put back in there. But I also think he falls into that category of we overvalue our guys.
Facts.
I just do. I think he falls under that, especially the down roster guys. But I think he kind of falls in line with a lot of these players over the years where the Cowboys put that ridiculous tag of position flex. They want to position flex everybody, and they never can really get settled in anywhere. And if you look at Israel Mukuamu over the years, he was safety, corner, safety, boundary, slot. He just was everywhere. They couldn't pigeonhole him into one place to let him get settled and be able to do things. Personally, I would have loved to see him at boundary corner or free safety and just rock out.
Facts.
But they kind of had him everywhere. And now, guess what? He's a free agent. And I don't know. I guess it'll depend on the new coach. I don't know how much they're going to value bringing him back, but I know a lot of fans are going to be clamoring to bring back Israel Mukuamu.
Yeah, no. What I will say in regard to Israel Mukuamu, I'll say this: his frustration boiled over a bit last year before training camp, and there was some contention between he and some of the coaches because he was frustrated, rightfully so, at I'm assuming because of the back and forth, like, put me somewhere, let me thrive, let me learn my craft in that particular spot. Israel Mukuamu was a corner in college, and that's what he was drafted as, and he was a pretty good one too. And so for him to come into, the Cowboys, and they look at his range and they say, okay, well, maybe you can play some safety. That's the safety room was so in limbo, and so it was so much depth in it, then it didn't really give him an opportunity. So I think that had a lot to do with maybe why we didn't see him on the field so much last year. But then also too, if there was a need for it, but you also have Stephon Gilmore, and then you come into this year, it's a new coaching staff. It's going to be even more difficult for him to get opportunities. And so I just think it's a mix of things, like the changing of his position, but also too, him being so down the roster with these different position groups, he just hasn't gotten a shot. And unfortunately, Sky, I'm gonna be real with you, I don't know if we see him back just because we haven't. There's not enough tape to justify it unless you really just like the guy and you want to give him a shot. Even though I do think he can play, Sky.
Yeah, you make a great point about how odd is it, or was it, that at one point we were so unsure of the safety room, so Izzy actually had a shot, and he was kind of playing around that 2022 year, I think it was. But then it was like, oh, wait a minute. We got about 4 of these things over here that we feel good about running out there. So Izzy kind of dropped down and we're like, hey, let's do other things. And then, Deron Bland, Diggs, J. Lou, it got deep there at corner as well. But then it didn't get deep, right? Then injuries happened. And I was like, this has to be the chance now for Israel Mukuamu to get out there. Deron Bland goes down. Kalen Carson's not playing well. He goes down. And they still refuse to move him out there. And I will say this. If a guy like Mike Zimmer doesn't see the boundary corner-ish in you, that does perk up my antennas. I say, okay, that's something to think about, because Zim knows DBs. Zim knows, corners. So, but for his sake, I hope he's able to go somewhere and get a shot. I'm with you. I don't know that it's going to be here, but we don't even know who the hell the DC is going to be. So.
Well, Lord, the way you talking about it, it might need to be here because, hell, you may not have enough depth to start with. You can't be playing these games. Listen. That's how I feel about some of them. Yeah, man. Some of these positions I'm sure we're going to get into, Sky, man, like, you literally don't have the flexibility to be like, you can just go into free agency. You don't have foundational starters in some of these spots. You can't play no games.
Another guy who was, a fantastic story, man. Josh Butler's story was amazing, but then it ended so fast. Right when it was getting started, right? He had that career game against Washington, tore his ACL the next week against the Giants, and you kind of forget about it because it happened so quickly. But before he got hurt, you were talking about film with Troy Pride. When you put on a film with Josh Butler, and I don't think this is being hyperbolic, he might have been the most physical corner. And that's saying something, because Deron Bland and J. Lou are physical, but Josh Butler was hitting like a safety, was tackling like a linebacker, and he was popping on film from that standpoint, but he was also making plays in the pass game. And this isn't me saying, hey, Josh Butler, starter, and anything like that. It's saying when he got his chance to go out there, Josh Butler went 110%, and he made some good plays and put some good tape out there for his first time actually getting some real tick. So, shouts out to him, a guy from the UFL. He's not a young player. He's 28, will be 29 next season. But a really good story, an unfortunate story, though, for Josh is, again, another guy I don't think they're going to return unless they bring him back because they feel sorry for him.
No, I agree. Honestly, if you're familiar with Josh Butler, he's very active on social media. And somebody asked him on Instagram, I believe, and he basically had a meme or something like that, and it was like, hell no, like he's not. So he's alluding to the fact that he doesn't think he's gonna be back in Dallas again. Like, take it with a grain of salt. We don't know for sure. He could just be goofing, but it seems like maybe that's not something that's gonna happen. But I agree with you, Sky. That's something I saw from Josh Butler. Anytime I've seen him play in preseason, is this man is feisty.
Yeah, he's
this man is feisty. Yes, very physical. Can play in the press. I like the way that he can make plays on the ball, but to your point, like, he has the temperament that you really look for in a corner. I don't mind my corner to be a talker. I don't mind my corner wanting to put their hands on people. And again, like, he definitely walks the line, Sky, of, being physical, making sure he jams people, but also too, like, I always looked at him like he can be a little handsy, but a lot of the time guys can get away with that. If you're a good player, you can get away with that. So I agree with you. It was really hard seeing him go down because I was like, okay, this is something. If he continues to play, maybe he can be a piece that we can take into next year.
But tearing his AC, you're right. If he didn't do that, I think the conversation is different around Josh Butler. I think you're talking about potentially, hey, him fighting for another down roster spot like he did the last 2 seasons, but more so as an active roster guy, right? But when you tear your ACL that late, the odds are probably be on, if he's even in camp, he'd be on PUP. Maybe he doesn't even get a chance to start the season, which means you have to carry him on a roster. And so it just doesn't feel like he'll have that opportunity here. And if it is, it'll be something like, hey, they'll sign him in August when they feel like he's better. But I hate that for him because he worked his butt off to get where he got. But at least he did put something out there to go into free agency and say, hey, when I'm right, I can at least be a part of a roster to make something happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, he got his shot because Kalen Carson, and this is another kind of controversial figure, and I feel a little, I don't want to say feel bad, I shouldn't say that, but let's bring some context to Kalen's season here. But he got a shot because Carson went down, you had Diggs going down, you had all these injuries, and Butler was able to go in. But Kalen got his shot because Deron Bland went down. And there was this thought, oh man, maybe Kalen can, Deron Bland, well, he got his shot when J. Lou went down, right? And boy, it did not start off well.
Thought that, honey. I never thought that. I never thought he was going to take Deron Bland's spot.
Oh, no. Absolutely not taking his spot, but his shot to get, make a statement. When Jordan Lewis went down, Deron came in and made a statement. When whoever went down, Butler came in and made a statement. This was Carson's chance, but let's remember, at least let me speak for myself here, okay, Tuai? Let's remember what the thought process was around Kalen Carson coming out of college, right? It was, hey, this is a 5th round guy who has some traits you like, and he's in a room where he's not going to have to be shoved into the lineup, and he can kind of develop and learn, which he's going to have to do in a Mike Zimmer scheme, because Mike Zimmer has notoriously said, one mistake I made was putting my rookies out there too soon in a scheme that is more requiring veteran guys that have been around the block that can pick this up a lot quicker and go out there and execute it. Well, Deron Bland went down. They had to throw Kalen Carson out there, and it was not good. It was not good. It was rough. He had a lot of rough patches, but the most disappointing thing to me, coming out of college, he was a for-sure tackler, really, really good tackler. I think his confidence affected him in that department, and he became a bad tackler for the Cowboys. So he's got a lot to prove next year, no matter who the who the DB coach is. But kind of your thoughts on Carson's, I'm gonna say controversial year, but a down year, really.
Yeah. I mean, mixture of things for me. Number one, I'll tell you from being in the locker room when I was in the locker room, that shoulder injury was more present. It was present before it became a big deal. I'm gonna start by saying that. I think that bothered him clearly. When you look at Kalen Carson and you look at, I still have my draft notes on him. I actually read my draft notes to him. One of the things that he was known for is his ability to play press, to be physical at the line of scrimmage, to jam on guys, to get his hands on guys. And he, for whatever reason, was not doing that. Obviously, with the shoulder, he wasn't able to do that. But he wasn't doing that consistently. I will say, I remember even some of our draft conversations that I had, I personally thought that Kalen Carson would be someone that I would want to see in the nickel. That was me.
Yeah, same. I was thinking the same thing. I thought he had nickel traits, right? Physical. He's not the long speed guy, but he's kind of twitchy. And I felt the same way.
Yes, he needs to be able to put his hands on people, and because that's his game. And I think that, obviously with all the conflict as you talk about that goes on from the nickel position, I thought that he would be a guy that could come in. I personally thought he was drafted to be the backup to Jordan Lewis. I didn't think he was drafted to be a boundary corner in general. Obviously, it sounds like the team had, different thoughts about it. But I also will say, Sky, he didn't play well. I agree with you 100%. And I also agree with you on the idea of Mike Zimmer. Mike Zimmer's system, to me, is very relevant to this NFL. I love that he changes the picture. I love that he plays the matchup game. I love that he plays the game within the game. And to your point, you do have to be studied to play in his secondary because there's so many moving parts. He will say, hey, you face guard this guy and the rest of y'all figure it out. And that takes intellect and it takes time to develop that as well. So putting a rookie out there was a lot of pressure, and I agree with your points of, how Mike Zimmer does things. But I also will ask guys, hey. There was a point in time where the Cowboys wasn't even smelling people from the defensive line. Hey, listen, let's not forget, this pass rush did not become a pass rush again until Michael Parsons entered the lineup again. Man, we saw better play once he got back in the lineup. But you were decimated at the beginning of the season with your defensive line. You think that don't affect your secondary?
No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I think go ahead.
It was a bad situation for a rookie regardless. You know what I'm saying?
Agree.
He's already going out there filling in for somebody that is obviously a star at this point. And also, too, he's learning a new system. Not only that, your safeties weren't playing well at the beginning of the year either.
Mm-hmm.
So,
it was.
So you're telling me the rookie, the rookie's confused, and the safeties kind of look confused. So there was miscommunication on the back end in general. Add that to the fact that you didn't have a pass rush. It's not a good thing for a young kid. So I'm gonna give him another year to see what he is, because he also too was like a product. Like his play to me was a product of a lot of the stuff going on around him, and also him being injured as well, Sky.
We're gonna fight a little bit on this one, I think.
My bad.
we go fight. No, not my bad. You know me. Look, I hear what you're saying, because yes, everybody's play, I think, is a part of this defense not being whole in regards to figuring things out early on in the season. But when I look at him in a vacuum by himself, I think there was enough things to be concerned about individually that was not because of a safety or because of a pass rush or anything. Like tackling has nothing to, right? Like you got to tackle. You know what I'm saying? When the ball's in the air, get your head around, make a play. He was getting cooked, individually removed from the other things, if you will. So I do think there's two parts to this. Yes, and this is why I brought up, when you throw a rookie in there in this scheme, there's going to be growing pains. But also, when you're there, brother, you got to show us something. And I don't think he flashed except for the first game. That's it. Other than that, it was pretty bad. So I'm hoping he can bounce back, get more confident, get healthier, and he's able to succeed with whatever defensive coordinator's in here. But I would not look at him and say, hey, man, we don't need to address cornerback. I hope we don't do that.
Oh, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Absolutely not, Sky. You need depth at the corner position in general. Like, sir.
I'm looking at
there's they need to act like other guys don't exist.
I'm looking at the chat, man, and I got this graphic of you, with your hand on you and you're smiling all innocent, right, and your head's tilted. And Professor Rose said, it looks like you're resting your head. It really does look like you're resting your head on my shoulder. That's kind of crazy.
Bye.
It's got a
I hate y'all. If y'all
the
know
chat
me,
is crazy.
I hate pictures, y'all. I hate pictures, y'all. I had to get some stupid headshots. I hated it. I hated every second of it.
Let's talk about Jordan Lewis, too. J. Lou, man, I think Jordan was one of the most consistent defensive players, really, you had all year. And he's going to have a lot of suitors for him in free agency, by the way. But if you remember, so? I think so.
I'm crying.
Let's talk about that in a second. But if you remember in the offseason, J. Lou, when he talked about, they asked him, hey, man, how do you feel about this new scheme? He was one of the ones that stepped up and said, this scheme is going to be better for him. He said it's going to be better for everybody, but he is like, you just watch, basically. And I thought he played the best and he was the most consistent. He was the veteran voice in that room. He won some type of media award for the team, but he was a rock. He was a rock and he was steady. See what I did there?
No, I agree. I actually touched base with What's up? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I was singing. No. Don't worry about me.
Who are you singing?
Rock steady. But go ahead, man. Yeah, he was rock. He was steady, and he's going to be a priority, I think, in this offseason.
No. I agree. He needs to be a priority. Guys, I'm gonna tell you. Just do yourself a favor. How many times did you watch film and break down the other team and say, "Oh man, CeeDee Lamb gonna cook this guy in the slot"? How many times did you do that this year? How many times did you say a team's nickel corner was a weakness?
Yep.
I literally can probably think of 6 or 7 times where I was like, yeah, CeeDee Lamb, he can't run with CeeDee Lamb. He can't run with CeeDee Lamb. And a lot of people can't run with CeeDee Lamb. But when you look at the nickel corner for a lot of teams, I don't know what it is. Listen, it's not that good. It's not that good. A lot of people prioritize having good corners on the boundary. But if you're looking at this NFL, the way that the McVays and these guys have changed football, a lot of the matchups are found in the slot, manipulating the slot, finding matchups, causing conflict, as you talk about, in the slot. And Jordan Lewis, like, I remember talking to him even my first year, and he explained to me, because I was still learning, explained to me how extensive the responsibilities are for the nickel corner. You are literally an extension of the 7. And you don't – in the way that – I mean, Jordan Lewis is maybe one of the smallest guys on the team. He sets the edge better than some of your defensive ends.
He was your best run defender last year at the end of the season.
And it's obviously, this is not, I mean, a lot of people, because I tweeted like, hey, you need to re-sign him. And I had some people being like, re-sign him for what? And I'm like, this isn't just this year. He finished off being, to me, your best corner finishing last year. And he just brought it to this year with a whole new scheme. And so for me, I don't think that what he does for the team and what he is for the team can be, like, measured for real, Sky. I think he's a foundational piece. I also think that he's an example to the young men in the locker room by how he leads his life and how he is. He's a family man. He's charitable. He's an honorable person, I'm telling you. And if you've had any conversations with him, you know the type of person he is. So he's a foundational piece of your locker room to me. And I think that should make him a priority, Scott. I really do believe that.
They asked him, and if you go look at I don't want to say exit interview, but his last interview in the locker room, they asked him straight up, hey, you're a free agent. Do you want to come back? He said, look, I'm going to train. I'm going to do a lot of training. I'm going to let the agent handle all of that. But he said, hopefully it is back here. I'm going to say this right now. Unless you're planning on moving Deron Bland into the slot, if it's not Jordan Lewis, you need to bring in a nickel cornerback, a veteran nickel cornerback, equal or better. I don't think you can mess around with that position because of the uncertainty in that room. So, I'm not saying it has to be J. Lou, although I hope it is J. Lou. But I haven't went and looked at the other nickels that are available. I know a few years ago, one of my favorite nickels was Mike Hilton, who went on to go into the Super Bowl with the Bengals. He struggled a bit this year, but he kind of reminded me of J. Lou, a blitzing guy. He was very active around the line of scrimmage, some sacks, some tackles for losses. I feel like you got to be able to replace him with a veteran. You can go ahead and grab a guy in college, right? Like the kid from Michigan. And let's say they want to move him inside or put him on the boundary, and now they got DeRon Bland inside. I could live with that. But you need to either replace him with Bland in the slot or a veteran, because he was that important. I think he's that important moving forward, because you mentioned it, made a great point. Teams are taking advantage of that slot corner, and there are not 32 slot corners that are as good as Jordan Lewis. This just isn't.
I agree with you, and I think I don't know, some of the gentlemen that I'm on the show with DLS mentioned yesterday that like
I know you got to get going here, Seth.
No, you're good. I think that he kind of gets the short end of the stick, obviously, because you have guys like Trayvon, you have guys like DeRon Bland, and those are the guys that are people recognize. But man, listen, he's a foundational piece, and he also mentioned with the nickel corner the communication. He is the bridge between communication with the front seven and the back end, dog. So like to your point about Zimmer's system and learning the system and the different coverage, it does take a level of being studied to do what he does. And I don't think that you would be putting anybody in a good spot if you brought a rook in here and said, hey, you take care of that. Now, if you want to bring up a rook and let the rook play under him to develop to that, sure. I know he's older. I know all those things. I get it. I understand. But I would like to see him back here in Dallas, Sky, as well.
This room really hinges on Trayvon Diggs. And it's really my main concern moving forward. Diggs' injury, towards ACL, in this day and age, no big deal, right? But then the very next year, he's dealing with like bone issues, and so it's back-to-back years with the knee. We really don't know. There's a weird feeling around how they feel long-term about him. We're not sure how he's going to recover. This worries me a lot moving forward, because if Diggs is going to be on PUP or doesn't start off the season or starts off having to get his feet wet, right? And now we're out there with a Kalen Carson or a rookie corner and DB. I'm nervous. I'm nervous now, which is another reason why I want to bring back J. Lou. But just how important is Trayvon Diggs' recovery to you moving forward?
Man, listen, obviously it's important. I mean, when you start talking about cartilage and stuff like that, let me tell you, as a veteran man, I know some people who don't have cartilage in their knees, and they sitting at the house, Sky. And so I just think this is also one of those instances too. It's bigger than football, because when you talk about, I'm serious. When you talk about cartilage, you're talking about that's something that is going to be around for your life, and I'm concerned about him as a person also. But when you talk about the football side of things, he is one of those foundational pieces. You signed him, you paid him. He's someone that you wanted to be here, and him not being ready next year does put the cornerback is a needs guy, like you said. And when you start the draft, you see that there's corners in this draft, especially going through the third round, that you could put into this lineup. I don't know if you replace him though with a rook though. I mean, are you saying that you maybe think that we might need to go get a veteran to play in his place while he's recovering? I'm more so, if we're not going to bring back J. Lou, I think that we need to get a veteran there, because you have a chess piece in DeRon Bland, so you can move him inside, outside, and be able to recover there. But if you're not sure that Diggs is going to be available, I would get a veteran. Yeah.
But there's also this point. If you're like, hey, we're not confident in Diggs long term, then you do have to think about cornerback in the draft long term.
Yeah, and I think we'll see. I think we'll be able to gauge a little bit, like the severity and maybe what they think with how they attack free agency. If they do, I can't even say attack. I mean, what's the word? What's the proper word for how they take on free agency? What's the word?
Conservative.
Like, people put in attack. How do the Cowboys? They don't attack it. What do they do?
They let free agency smack them in the face. That's what they do. They don't attack
It'd
free
be like,
agency.
surprise. Free agency, surprise.
They spar with free agency. They're the sparring partner for free agency.
Like, I mean, and dependent to your point, I do think that this changes the conversation of Jordan Lewis as well. To your point, I think when you look at it for what it is, it's like, can you risk? Do you have the guys? Do you have the personnel to risk losing Jordan Lewis, given what is going on with Trayvon Diggs? I agree with you. I think Jordan Lewis' retention is 100% linked to whatever is going on with Trayvon Diggs.
100%. Hey, Tuai, it's been a pleasure having you as our first guest here on the Skywalker Unleashed channel, and this is obviously not going to be the last of us linking up here. And eventually, we're going to get you on the video form as well. But if you want to see Tuai video form, head on over to Foots the King's channel. They did a fantastic show last night that dropped, where, of course, those two were dropping some gems for Cowboys Nation. But thank you so much for coming through. I know you got to get going. You got your own show to get to. But, hey, make sure y'all drop some fire emojis in the chat for our girl Tuai.
Thank you, Sky. And I can't wait to see this growth, Sky. You already know how I feel about you, twin, and the work that you do. I think that you are one of the most professional, well-rounded people that we have in the community. I think we're very blessed to have someone that is informed, detailed, and how much care you put into your content. I know a lot of people don't know how much work you put in, but yeah, you're one of my favorites. You're always gonna be my guy, and I got your 6.
That's eye in the sky with 2 eyes. I got your 6. Oh, that's hard. I like that. I like that. All right, go do your thing.
Yeah. Bye.
That's that army coming out. Shouts out to our veterans. I got your 6. That's hard. Man, good stuff right there with Tuai. We'll be bringing her back as we go through our hindsight series and many other things this offseason. And I said this to you guys, I say it a lot. One of my favorite parts of NFL football is team building, is the offseason. The Cowboys are trying their damnedest to deter me from that. They're trying their damnedest to make me hate it, but I won't let them. But we're going to make sure we have her and many others a part of this entire offseason. And I know a lot of people say this, and I appreciate this. They're like, hey, man, you help get me through the offseason because you know it's not exciting for the Cowboys. Or you even help me get through a season that's down for the Cowboys. So I'm going to try to keep doing that, and I'm going to try to take it to another level. All right. So I know we kind of did a hard pivot. I didn't get a chance to talk to you guys about the whole Mike McCarthy thing. Being denied. If you guys want to call into the show, get back into the chat, and we can rap to you guys about that. 351-999-3787 is the call-in line. And yes, Rolo, 2i is a veteran. So, you know, when she says that, I got your 6, she ain't playing, right? She's not playing. So look, we'll take a quick coffee break, go to the bathroom, mute your tab if you're at work, pretend like you're doing something, take a sip of your water, whatever you got to do. And we're going to come back and we're going to rap to y'all in the chat.
You're listening to Skywalker Steel.
Do it live!
At some point, hoping to broadcast
In front of the millions
of Cowboys fans to bring you the real. But for now, strap up and
Reach for the sky.
I'm Luke Skywalker. I'm here to rescue you.
We'll do it live.
Text Rob said, Sky, you need a pic of Toxic so when he calls, it looks like he's resting his head on your shoulder. I promise y'all, I did not intentionally do that. And I didn't even notice until Professor O said something right there, but it definitely looked like she was. Yeah. I have to get a graphic for our guy Toxic though, man. I got a graphic for VIP. Obviously, Vach. But we got to get one for Toxic. I don't know. Toxic, you got to hit me up. Make an AI graphic. Send it to me. You know? Send it to me. Jeremy said, the mute at work, never. Hey, appreciate you, Jeremy. I'm just saying, you know, I used to be, and I was talking to Vach about this. By the way, hold on. Turn the music off. Time the hell out real quick, man. Y'all see my boy Vach? Like, y'all see my bro Vach on the. All right, let me calm down. So Vach was he made his debut on the draft show yesterday on .com. And man, I felt like a proud older brother. And what reminded me of this is because I was about to tell y'all, I used to be at work with my little earpiece in or at the computer listening to the Cowboys podcasts and shows and knowing hey, I got to close this real quick because they walking by or something. And that reminded me of Vach being on a draft show, man, and knowing where we came from, where he came from, to go from watching those dudes to being in the Star and now on the draft show. Man, it was awesome to see. When you see him having that success like that, it feels like we all are having that success. So shouts out to my brother Vach Lombardi, as Law would say, who came to party. All right, let's get to these calls. Let's talk to everybody in the chat. And hey, man, I brought up toxic. It's time for our toxic take of the day. What's up with you, brother?
Hey, good morning, man. First off, shouts out to Y. Thank you for your service, doing us proud. Really appreciate when she talks. She keeps it a buck, always.
She's good.
Hard to find some people like that that are close to the my subjects, man, that keeps it a buck with us, not playing his bullshit game. The Titanic one of me holding Stephen Jones, if I could ever get that close. I think that's anyway. When you were talking about Mike McCarthy, I'll be quick in case anyone else wants to call. When I heard what Jerry Jones had to say, and then he said what he's like, go talk. If you don't want to go here, go talk. And then he denies the Bears job request. It really just reminded me. It just kind of thought like you've already put the man in a lose-lose situation already.
Yeah.
Like the man's already. He's got a week left on his contract, and you keep shitting on him. Like, what are you trying to achieve here? That's the part I just don't understand. And what it really boils down to is, you ever meet people that they would rather be right than to make a situation better? Like,
sir,
they don't care. Yeah.
Sir, that is a majority of Cowboys Nation and some people that create Cowboys media. So, yeah, I've met that.
Now you have somebody who has a position of power, who has threatened radio hosts not too recently, has done a plethora of petty, just beneath him moves. And, you really learn a lot about people. There's things like amplifiers in life. Money's one of them. Money just amplifies what you already are. So if you were a piece of shit, getting more money in your veins is just going to make you a bigger piece of shit. It's just your character. And when you see people in power, and when you see someone like Jerry Jones, there's a degree of professionalism that's there when you have that power, and it depends on how you do. And when you see how somebody handles it, that you're so petty that you want this guy back, but you're not sure, but in the meantime, I'm going to put him in a terrible situation because if he leaves,
controlling.
It just, and like he doesn't care that he makes his coach look weak. So if Mike McCarthy comes back on a new deal, Jerry Jones has already accomplished on neutering the man publicly again. And then if he leaves, you shit on him because everyone else who wants to win has a sense of urgency and wants to go get a new coach now. So you're putting the man in a lose-lose situation to begin with.
I agree.
So I don't even, you're already hurting. One of this is, Jerry, I just always want to ask him, how are you helping the team doing this? How does this make you better? And it just seems like that his ego will always triumph. That's
toxic. Stop
Go
right
ahead.
there. Right. That is a fantastic follow-up question that no one ever asks in the media. But I wonder if the media is just so conditioned to Jerry Jones talking in circles and talking around things that they just don't even bother to ask those type of questions anymore. Now, sometimes they will ask some legitimate questions, but that is a fantastic one. Hey, Jerry, how does delaying the process one way or the other help make your franchise better? Go. And I wonder if they don't do it because he'll start talking about squirrel brains and dead animals on the side of the road that he barbecues. That could be it.
He should run for office because he sounds like a politician. He gives you the best.
Or be an actor. He's pretty damn good.
Oh, yeah, be an actor. And honestly, I watched that show, Landman. If that were me with a bad heart, I would just probably want a blue line right there rather than hear Jerry Jones sell some more bullshit to me. At the end of the day ends, but at the end of the day, you just kind of have to look at this from a holistic point of view. And I know a lot of our fan base, you ring the bell, Pavlov's dog. When the season ends, let's talk the NFL draft. No. You've been conditioned to think this is the only way you team build. Team building is a 365-day a year, and it's not just players. Don't listen to what Stephen Jones says. This is the time now. You need to be making plans. Like, the Allies didn't just storm the beaches of Normandy and just got on a bunch of boats and just waited there and took the beach. There was months of planning and execution stuff way before that even happened, and this is the time you need to start planning. You need to be making decisions now that have long-term effects into it. They should be looking at free agency. They should be looking, but they're not because they're twiddling their thumbs and they're playing their circus game. And the last thing I'll say, so in case anyone else wants to call, is if Mike McCarthy comes back, how do you sell it to the fans? Like, the fans already are pretty restless about how shitty this has been run. My question for you is, how do you think he's going to sell it? And I'll take that off there. You all have a lovely weekend, especially the East Coast people. Stay warm.
Man, that's a fantastic question. And shouts out to our guy Toxic Tom for the toxic take of the day. That I always keep it funky with y'all. I don't pretend to have all the answers. And if I don't have the answer, I'll tell you straight up. I don't know right now. I don't know how you sell. I mean, I know how they're going to do it, but I don't know if it gets anybody excited, if that makes sense, right? Like, they can say, hey, bringing back Mike McCarthy, we won 12-5 3 years with him. We won a playoff game. Our quarterback was hurt. We got a lot of injuries. We'll be fine. Bringing back. That's what they'll try to sell to the fans, and some fans that'll be enough. But I don't know if it's going to be enough to excite anybody, right? And one of the things about the offseason that is so cool for most organizations, even if you believe that, you know, your organization is ran by an idiot, like in New York, right? With the Jets, there still is that excitement of, man, we might get a new coach, some new players, or maybe we're drafting a quarterback high, maybe we signed this and that. There's still that part of it. For Dallas, they're probably going to sell you on this is the most exciting thing, is that we're bringing back Mike McCarthy. And I don't think that's enough for majority of the fan base. Because me personally, I'm at the point where I've accepted it right now. I've been waffling a bit because, you know, what they've been talking about, but I'm still on the side of he'll return, and I've emotionally already accepted it. So when or if that happens, there will not be some emotional charge from me. I'm going to be thinking, I bet, get it over with, get it done so that we can move forward and try to improve this team as best we can, because we know what we need to do, because we know who the coach is. Let's get back to the horns and let's talk to, I mean, you want to talk about doing a complete 180. We go from Toxic Tom to, what's the opposite of toxic? Troy. What's up, Troy?
What's good, Scott?
You the opposite. What's the opposite of toxic, bro? We got optimistic Troy. There we go.
Yeah, let's do it. Hey, my thing was, I'll just say this just to begin. The two-sided talk about the concerns for Mike McCarthy, man, is just, man, stop, bro. I mean, if you don't want him here, bro, don't be concerned about if he's going to be here for how long, man. It don't even make no sense. Like,
when you say two-sided, you mean like, can you detail that real quick? When you say two-sided.
Well, to say, we're holding Mike back, and man, what's going to happen with him, and you're doing him an injustice and these type of things, and then secondly, then go and say, we don't want him here anyway, so get him out of here. Come on, man. Like,
yeah, I think you do have to preface it, or you'll sound crazy. Which is why I've prefaced it with, there's a human side to it. I have my gripes with Mike McCarthy as want him on my team, and I don't want him on my team. And that's me thinking as for my organization and as a football fan. As a human, there's the human side. There's the, if this is truly them being petty, then this is dead wrong, right? Like, remove your hatred. And I say this a lot when it comes to players. Remove your hatred real quick and just think about the human aspect of it. This is messed up if that's the case. So we don't really know if that's the case, but it feels that way. But I do think you can provide context to that explanation of, hey man, this ain't cool with Mike. Even though I don't want him, this ain't cool. But Troy, forget all that. You need to make the decision for your organization one way or the other, right? Like, we need to know, Troy, what are we doing? Are we moving forward with him, or are we moving forward with a different coach? Because things need to start getting put in place right now.
Yeah, the last thing I'll say on that part of it is that, you know what I'm saying, but the narrative was pushed out there that, you know what I'm saying, they're already doing Mike wrong yesterday when they didn't even have an opportunity to even answer if they wanted him to or not, you know what I'm saying, and the narrative was already being pushed. Man, they're doing Mike wrong.
They did him wrong. Like, they did him wrong in March of 2023 through August of 2024. March of 2024 to August of 2024, if we keep it in the beam. That's where they did him wrong.
How so? I'm not
free agency, building the team. You know what I'm saying? Setting them up a little bit, right? Like the whole all in, but you weren't. I think that's where they did him wrong. And right now, this is just more so about control.
Well, surprisingly or not, Sky, I'm kind of I'm here to well, I won't say just kind of have egg on my face, but a little bit in that regard. I heard something interesting. I can't remember where, that one of the things that Mike wanted, if he should return, was control over who's healthy or not. And I thought that was interesting because, I mean, when I look at it, that's the one thing that I said about maybe the control from management. That's the control. I'm not trying to tell you how to play or whatever, but I'm going to tell you who can play and when they can play. Mm-hmm. And I think that affected the team. Even if they're healthy or not, we're going to say they're not healthy and we're going to sit them down for how long.
The old knock on the door. I think, hey, that ankle hurt, don't it?
Yeah.
IR. Yeah.
And I mean, even to the detriment of the opportunity to win, we'll keep it. We'll keep the player down. And
check this out, Troy. To your point there, I don't know if it's directly tied to it, but we're now hearing for like the second or third time from a player standpoint. Micah brought it up, Dak brought it up, and now anonymous players brought it up with Jane, where they went to Jane or Jane went to them, and the player said, you know, if he comes back, I would like for him to come back and do things on his type of terms, right? Allow him to have more flexibility to run it how he wants to do it. And I find it hilarious because as fans, like diehard fans that watch this team and know this team every day, not casual fans that kind of follow and you know, praise. Well, I'm not talking about you, Troy, because you're a dedicated fan. But there are fans that be like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. Jerry's the best, right? But you don't really understand what's going on. They are very controlling in every aspect. Yeah. But now you're hearing players on the team, not off the team. Now, you know, we usually hear guys that left that said, hey, man, he in that room. Jerry's telling people who to get the ball to. You're hearing players on the team say, hey, I would like for him to come back and have more control. I think that speaks volume to what's going on here, and it's a detriment to Jerry.
Yeah. I just really think it's important to keep continuity right now. I think it's the best thing for this team in particular is just looking at the leadership. We need to really get it established with these guys, and that's not just from management, that's the coaching, and that's to the players. If we don't empower these guys and kind of get some stability going forward, we're going to keep starting over. And I know sometimes it's necessary to start over, but if we're going to attack this window, very small window now that we have, man, we got to act now. We can't be starting over, trying to figure out how we're going to educate these guys and different things. You know, we got to let them grow up, man.
That's a fact, Jack. Hey, appreciate you calling in, Troy. Again, find me a good word opposite of toxic Tom to optimistic Troy. Maybe that's what we'll do.
Yeah, I liked it that one. That was fine because it was organic.
Let's do that. I appreciate you, big dog.
All right.
Hey, real quick, can I give a shout out I haven't said this in a long time, and y'all probably gonna kick my butt for this because I have to do this. I gotta give a shout out to the original mod god in the building.
Bomb Squad!
Stevie Mac. Stevie Mac, I think, was the first moderator I had. He was integral in keeping y'all in check years ago when the channel was DCU and DC Network, and then eventually came over to A to Z. Shouts out to my guy in the building. I know y'all. Somebody already got on me the other day. I was like, "Hey, I want my wrench back." Yeah, I got to do that. I promise y'all, I'll get to that situation. In fact, I need to do it because if things get out of hand, y'all keep it in check. So maybe I'll do that while folks is on the phone here. But these aren't given out like candy. All right, so we're not gonna do that. Let's get back to the horns. Let's talk to 914. What's up?
Hey, what's up, Skywalker? Still this G-Dub.
What's up? T-Dub? Call it T-Dub. I never call it. What's good?
I know. This is my first time.
Welcome in, man.
First time. First of all, congratulations. I'm glad you got your own channel so we can blow this up, you know. But I just wanted to have two quick points. First, on how Jerry's going to sell bringing Mike McCarthy back. Jerry don't think he got to sell shit. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
This team had the worst playoff loss of any team I've ever seen. And he was like, I'm just going to run it back. So there's nothing that happened this year that's worse than what happened in Green Bay. And for my second point.
That's so fair, bro.
For my second point.
Hey, I was ready to, you know, you was seeing me. I was ready to blow this. When I say blow this thing, I'm talking about the coaching staff. I'm like, this has to end now. But this is nothing compared to how it ended last year. You're right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. My second point is I've heard a lot of people saying that they want to bring Mike back, but let him keep give up play calling. We've seen this before, right? He low-key sabotaged, let Kellen, hang himself. He's just going to do it again. So if you bring him back, you almost have to let him call plays, which is terrible.
Right. Just hold on. Stay right there, Tex. I'm hearing this a lot. Hey, man, bring back Mike. Just let somebody else call plays. Do we understand that continues the issue? That means that now the front office and Jerry and them have their hands all the way into what the coaches are doing. That doesn't change anything from that standpoint. If you bring him back, you have to let him call plays. What else? Mike McCarthy is not Dan Campbell. Mike McCarthy ain't Ray Lewis on the sideline. Who is he motivating? He has to feel like he's doing something.
Yeah, feel like, because he's not really doing nothing. I mean, he's not disciplining the team. The team is. When have you ever seen this team in a big game and say, "Wow, that's a well-coached team"?
Never, ever,
never. So what else is he doing? So yeah, so that's it, Sky. Just wanted to give you your props and just bring up those 2 points.
Hey, appreciate you calling in, text, Rob. Let me save this real quick. Bow. I mean, just in case you call back in, I know who you are. Thanks, man.
All right, see you.
Hey, Dro, you wild. I was trying to pull up this picture while I was talking. Dro said, Sky dressed like he part of the Nino Brown crew from New Jack City. I was trying to bring up the picture for it, but hey, man, I've been talking about this for a while. Pat McAfee, he got like 100 black, them tank tops, and he's like, this is my uniform. I've been wanting to do something very similar, right? During the summer, just black tee, chain all summer. During the winter, black hoodie, chain all summer. I'm about to be on something like that, man. I absolutely love black because I'm black, y'all. I'm blackity black and it's black, y'all. Like, I love to wear black on air. And I've been thinking about that for a long time. And just getting a whole bunch of like my own graphic stuff on it. Like, I'll make my own black hoodie, my own black tees and things like that. And that's going to be my uniform. God damn it. But yeah, we part of the Nino Brown crew over here. 210, you are live. What's up?
Yo, what's good, Sky? I want to say congratulations on doing your own thing, bruh.
Thank you, man.
New year, And congrats.
New year, better me.
Yes, sir. You and T.Y. touched on something that I didn't really pay attention to too much about the cornerback room. I didn't know Diggs' cartilage injury was that bad.
Yeah,
and so that makes it a tricky decision for the drafting because the offense needs two weapons, and now you look at defense, the cornerback room is short. Because if J. Lou leaves, I doubt they're going to go out and get a slot corner like you said. Because I don't know if you saw recently, but DJ Reed said he's ready for free agency. So that could be a potential get. I don't know if they're going to get him, but somebody's ready to go in free agency. And then on top of that, I wouldn't want to bring back Mike McCarthy just due to the fact that every year, like the other callers said, every year in the big game, the team is undisciplined. And plus, ever since McCarthy came to coach the Cowboys have led the league in penalties. Every time you watch a Cowboys game, you already know there's going to be at least 10, 15 penalties called on the Cowboys. Not just due to Cowboy hatred. It's just because the team is just simply undisciplined. Yeah. So I'd rather just move on because it's very inconsistent. I get trying to keep the band together and everything, but me personally, I'd rather move on. And you know McCarthy's not going to give up play calling. He's too prideful for that. So that's just me, but I ain't trying to hold you up too much. Congrats again, big dog.
Thank you, man. Good call. Appreciate y'all showing some love on the leap here. He brought up the penalties, and you know, part of me, I don't really know how to feel about it. And here's why. Because even before McCarthy, penalties have been an issue in Dallas. And I don't do the whole conspiracy. I mean, I watch, conspiracy theories and I have my thoughts on a lot of them. But when it comes to the Cowboys, per se, there's some that I used to look sideways at. But I don't know, man. These penalties been going on for longer than McCarthy, before McCarthy. And it's frustrating that it's continuing, right? But then I look and I saw this stat the other day. John Harbaugh. I know I wanted to go after John last year, but that never was going to happen. John Harbaugh steps into the Chargers organization, which was a dumpster fire. They're in the playoffs, 5th seed. Number 1 scoring defense, by the way. First year coordinator, so that. But I heard the penalty stat. You know they're the least penalized team in the league. Part of me wants to say it's definitely because of John. Then there's the other part of me that's fighting the league ain't got nothing against the Chargers, so could that be? But I'm gonna ignore my conspiracy theory thought and just stick to the coaching. You think they listen? You think John's voice carries a bit more fearful weight than say a Mike McCarthy? I think so. And I do think you need to have some type of fearful authority figure when it comes to discipline like that. Now, a lot of that could be because Jerry Jones strips that away. So, and then we go in this kind of loop, right? A lot of y'all down with the black, but a lot of y'all down with the black gear. Yeah, man, I'm dead serious. I might just rock out like this. Don't y'all be judging me. Damn, didn't Sky have on black? Yep. Show did. 678. You live. What's up?
Hey, Sky. Can you hear me well?
I got you loud and clear. Let me make sure you're not coming through too loud to the nation. But what's up?
Okay, yeah. So I just want to go ahead and say a couple things real quick. First, I want to say I already knew that when it showed that the Bears was interested and want to talk to Mike McCarthy, and they asked for the permission, I had it. I know knew Sky, and I already knew too as well.
My bad.
I already knew they were going to deny it.
My bad. I think I mentioned the wrong Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh.
Oh no, you okay? Yeah, no, you okay. I just already knew that the Cowboys was going to damn doggone deny it. I just knew that because how the way he's still on the contract, I already know Jerry them, man. They just what's mine's is mine's, and for now, so he just gonna step away and everything like that. But anyways, what I really want to talk about is that they really had over since it started 2021. You remember the time when they had 11 picks in that draft?
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yep.
Exactly. They had so much. That was the golden year for that team to get better. They had so much leverage to get better.
Talk on it, bro. Because
like,
stay right there, bro. Because I said this, if y'all remember, in the draft that year, I brought up, you got 11 picks. 11. You could use those picks to go get some dudes. You could use those picks to jump up. I didn't think for a second that they were going to keep 11 rookies. And brother, they
didn't even try to move up.
They didn't do nothing. They stood pat. Not only did they keep 11 picks, bro, they kept all the picks for the next 3 years. And that's really what sold to, well, I was already sold, but that's really what sold to me, that these dudes are so arrogant that they think they can just draft 22, 23-year-olds, and those dudes are going to put you over the hump every single. That's never going to happen. I don't know any other aggressive organization that wouldn't have used those 11 picks to go get some dudes or move up or anything like that. But the Cowboys stood pat. And that was the most concerning in regards to this whole draft situation. Now, granted, did they get a Micah Parsons out of it and everything? Cool, sure, yeah. But outside of that, Osa and the rest is like, hey, so you got what, 2, maybe 3 players out of 11 picks? Hated it.
And we at 2025, and look at where they at right now. Did that ever really help your team out? Look what you at right now. Did they ever get you over the hump? No, it did not. So
Micah was the only really hump player. Osa, I think, has turned into one of the better defensive tackles in the league from a pass rush standpoint. But you're right. No, I don't think 11 picks are going to do that, especially when a lot of them are third rounds and down. So you have to use that to go get difference makers, veteran difference makers, or young veteran difference makers.
Exactly, because you remember that year, because see, the Rams they used them picks too as well to get Odell and Von Miller, and Von Miller was only worth for like what, a third round and a fifth at that time.
Yeah.
See, they could have done that. They could have had, and they had, what was it? They had 3 third-round picks. It's like, bro,
3 third-round picks. You
could have got Von Miller, and you could have got someone else.
Nashawn and Chauncey. And look, I love Osa. I appreciate what Nashawn, not Nashawn, but Chauncey. But I'm pretty sure we would 100% take trading one of those picks, maybe a guy or another top pick or bottom pick, to get a dude. I'm pretty sure we would have been okay with that.
Exactly. I'm pretty sure. Exactly. Because look at the Jets did. They was able to get Devontae Adams for third, fourth, or whatever.
Chiefs.
Look at the Bills. Yeah, they got Hopkins, this and that. But your GM when it used that fourth to get Jonathan Mingo. That don't make sense. Every time when they do, it just never makes sense. So I was just like, I had to take my time out one time to go talk to one of these little trash ass uneducated fans. They just kept calling me trash, But I was like, dude, put yourself in McCarthy's shoes. Your GM telling you that you need to put Zeke and Dalvin Cook on the field, and you need to go. And I'm going to trade around my 2 4th-round picks to get a third-string quarterback and a Jonathan Mingo, a wide receiver that's never have been proven yet. So what would you gonna do with that?
Yeah, I mean,
he didn't say nothing. He just blocked me.
Oh wow! Like I said, they've managed to turn Mike into a sympathetic figure. They have.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, and I that's why I don't ever get too mad at McCarthy at all. Because I feel like, man, because what he have done under Jerry, under the Joneses, 3 12-5s, and at least a playoff win. Just imagine if you had Howie Roseman as the GM. I believe we would have won a Super Bowl already, Scott. I believe we would have won a Super Bowl already.
I would love to have a Howie, John Lynch, Les Snead, Brett Veach. Man, get me some. Honestly, let me stop, because that's aiming high, Willis. Right? Aim high, Willis. Aim high. No. let me. I would just settle for a general manager who can get fired. That's it. Because guess what? If he's Ron Carthon who just got fired, well, guess what? They weren't satisfied. Move on. Try to get the next general manager here to improve your team. But when you have a general manager that can get fired, well, now there's pressure. Right? We're not going to rely on rookies. Mm-hmm. We're not going to rely on bottom barrel veterans. We're going to try to go for the gusto, and that's not what we do here. because they can't get fired.
Yep. So they've been on that team since 1989, and we at the year of 2025 still here. We have changed coaches, we have changed quarterbacks, we have changed players, but that front office is still there.
I guess it could get bad. My man Toxic brought up Matt Millen was, whew. He's the one that drafted, and rest in peace, Charles Rogers, I believe. He drafted 3 wide receivers in the top 10 3 years in a row, right? I guess Matt was before his time because now you could do that because it's a passing league. But my man Matt Millen drafted 3 receivers in like the top 5. It might have been 3 years in a row. That was kind of wild at the time, man. That was kind of wild.
Yeah, wow. But yeah, though, have a good one though, Sky. I just want to talk about that. That's all.
Who's this again?
This is Terrence.
Terrence, let me put you up, man. Put you up here. I'm gonna put you in as Terrence, man. Appreciate the call, Terrence.
No problem, sir.
Good stuff, man. Yeah, y'all been on fire today for sure, Special K. No lies told right there. No lies told. Usually this is the part in time when hey, let's go read the super chats. But on the Skywalker Unleashed channel, we don't have access to the super chats just yet because you have to meet certain thresholds. And boy, y'all are helping me get there for sure. The first threshold is to get to 500 subs. Y'all did that in a matter of a couple hours. The next threshold is 1,000. Y'all did that in a matter of a couple hours. And then you have to hit a certain amount of watch hours. And then we have to do some things in the back end. Boom. Then we can get the supers back in the building. But if you want to support monetarily, and you can via Cash App. I don't normally drop the Cash App like that because we have the super chats available, but I know some people do want to support in that aspect. You absolutely can. And if you want to support in any other aspect, like Miss Jackie some years ago, Miss Jackie, I still have a lot of your stuff that I use in my studio and around the house. She sent me a welcome package back some years ago when I moved down to Dallas, an amazing welcome package. Thank you so much for that. You can do that. We'll get I'll get a different address, like a post box address, so that you guys can send things if you want. But yeah, we're gonna turn it up a notch a little bit here. I want to do giveaways. I want to do merch. I want to do all that when I can. I'm excited for it. Y'all know when the juices get flowing creatively, we get some good things out of it. So again, if you want to support in that manner, you can. You just have to do it here. Unfortunately, not via super chat. We aren't there just quite yet. Y'all going to help me get there fairly quickly. We'll probably be halfway there by the end of the week in regards to the watch hours. And I'd imagine by the end of next week at the latest, we'll be good. So hopefully by the end of the month, we'll be able to get you guys back to doing that. Okay. Oh yeah, Toxic. Definitely getting the P.O. box. Will not be giving the address away. Now I did for Miss Jackie, right? Miss Jackie, we like that's like auntie, you know. But yeah, absolutely not giving y'all my address. I love y'all, but I don't love y'all that much. I don't love y'all that much. Let's talk to the chat though. I'm still. Are we in overtime? Yeah, we way in overtime. Dallas Sports 77 said we don't have a GM. We have a clown show for a GM. Tex Rob said I got the A to Z alert before the show started, then unleash alert after the show started. Okay. We're still figuring that out. YouTube, I'm not sure how they roll with the algorithm. Lemetra said Mike gonna have to go off the rails on Jerry, but where'd you go, Lemetra? But if Jerry will make it to where he doesn't coach ever again, Jerry is the de facto GM of the NFL. But if he does, you're under the assumption that if Mike snaps on Jerry can put the hit out and say, hey, he ain't coaching nowhere. I don't know. He powerful, don't get me wrong. But owners are desperate, more desperate than Jerry. And yes, Jerry is the de facto GM in the same way that Steven is too. Because I think Steven is the day-to-day operational general manager. And then Jerry is that what you're doing? I bet, do your thing. But if there's something that Jerry absolutely wants, he's not talking to nobody about it. He's going to do it. I'm going to sign Terrell Owens. I'm going to trade for Trey Lance. I don't have to ask anybody. Point blank, period. But we need to get back to the standard, though. I told myself I wanted to make it a point to feature Jimmy and Tom because that's the standard. And I feel like the brass they have lost sight of that. They have lost. I don't even know if they ever had it, to be real. OG fans, Tom, Jerry comes in, fires Tom, hires his buddy. Fortunately, his buddy was one of them ones, right? So I don't even know if Jerry ever really had an appreciation for the standard because immediately he was like, I did this. Anybody can coach. I'm going to get another buddy in Barry. He wins a Super Bowl. There was no appreciation for the standard. I'm now the standard. I can do it my way. There's a standard that you got to have in an organization. And if the standard is Jerry, oh, brother, you know the rest. We got to catch lightning in the bottom. Yes, Miss Jackie. I still have I use the pillow wrap. I use the cups. There's so many things you sent, and I appreciate it. I'll get with you on IG if you want to send another one. Sure. We got a Mad King. That's real. That's real. Lee's one. Lee, you wild. Lee said, where you live at, bro? Oh, so, I mean, Lee, you already know, but I don't live where y'all came. Lee and them came down a couple years ago. We moved, so I ain't there no more, but you goofy, man. All right. We gonna wrap it up with that right there, man. Good stuff today. Excellent calls. If you missed it, 2I joined the show. She was fantastic as usual. Make sure y'all run that back. In fact, I might clip up that. We'll see. I might clip up that segment or some of that segment. It was a good one, and that way you guys can just have it direct and over different platforms. But if you missed it, run it back. Please, if you enjoyed the show, hit the like button. We need to obviously build up the algorithm again on this side of YouTube. And if you are over on A to Z, let me go ahead and do this again. Some people come in and out. They tend to miss it. Make sure you guys come over here to the Unleashed channel. I'll be back Friday, for live show purposes, unless we get some breaking news, some big news, and then tomorrow I'll come on, or if it's in the evening, I might just jump on in the evening. We'll see. But the news schedule for those who may have missed it, we're going Monday, Wednesday, Friday live. In between, we'll drop some videos. We'll have guest appearances, things like that. I'm thinking of doing something special for the Saturdays, and so we can do this thing in any way, shape, or form how I want it to be done, and that's what we're gonna do. All right. With that said, Matisse said Mike looking slim in that pants. Y'all crazy, man. I'm gonna go ahead and press this button and get up out of here.
Push the goddamn button. Push the goddamn button.
Thank you, DJ. Appreciate it, Rolo. You know, I always said this. I try to get them to do this for years. Off season, Monday, Wednesday, Friday makes sense. Even less if you think about it. It's the off season, man. You don't want to get burned out with not a lot going on. So I'll make sure I deliver legitimate content, legitimate shows that are filled with substance and not fluff. That's just how I operate, and y'all know that. So I appreciate y'all for rocking. We out of here. Peace.
Bomb Squad!